This is the video notes that is going to go with graphing a standard form system of linear equations, okay? Now, we just need to review a couple of simple things before we jump into the graphing part, okay? First of all, standard form. That means that we have ax plus by equals c. Standard form means that x and y are on the same side of the equal, okay? We know that solving a system means that we're going to graph our two linear equations and we're going to find where they intersect, okay? This process has three parts, okay? So our steps. Our first step is to solve each equation for y. The second step is to graph each line. And then our third step is to find the intersection. Now, we have learned how to do all three of these steps in previous lessons. This is the first time we've put it together to do this type of problem. Okay, so let's take a look. I need to solve each one of these equations for y. So I'm going to take my first one right here. X plus 3y equals 5. Okay, now the first thing we're going to do is put a 1 placeholder right here. Now, with solving for y actually involves two steps. The first step is to subtract the x term from both sides, just like this. Okay, and I'm going to have 3y equal to, now, just a quick reminder, we want to put this in slope-intercept form, so that means our x term will come first, the constant or the y-intercept will come second. So when I rewrite this right side, I'm going to have negative 1x plus 5, okay? Now, I'm going to divide everything by the 3. That's our second step in solving for y. So now I've got y is equal to negative 1/3 x plus 1 2/3. I did go ahead and change that to a mixed number so that it's easier to graph. It's easier to graph 1 2/3 than 5/3 if I'm looking at just a point, okay? So let's go ahead and graph that line on our graph paper right here. I'm going to go to 1 2/3 on my graph paper. Notice I'm between the lines, but closer to 2 than 1. My slope right here is negative 1/3, so that means down 1, right 3. So I'm going down 1 unit, and I'm not on the line. I'm between the lines still because I'm going 1 unit. 1 unit down, 3 units right. And put a little dot. I'm going to do that one more time. 1 unit down, 3 units right. Let's see. 1, 2, 3 right there. Okay, I'm going to grab my ruler. And if I did this right, they should line up. And I'm going to make my line. I'm a little bit low, but I'm close enough. Okay. Now, I'm going to repeat that process with my second line. Okay. My second line, I'm just going to do this so I can separate my work. I wrote too big. I'm going to have 1x minus 1y equal to negative 3. Okay. I'm going to do the same two steps in solving. So I'm going to subtract the 1x from both sides, just like that. And I'm going to have negative 1y equal to negative 1x, minus 3. And then I'm going to divide by negative 1. And when I do all my negatives, be careful there. Y equals negative 1 divided by negative 1 is 1x, but most of the time they just write x, okay? Remember, negative 1 divided by negative 1 is positive 1, but we don't put the 1 in front of the x, okay? Then I've got negative 3 divided by negative 1 right there, and that is positive 3. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to start at positive 3, 1, 2, 3. My slope is up 1, right 1. So up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1. Now, when I'm doing this, I realize I'm traveling away from the other line. So I'm actually going to reverse that. Instead of going up and right, I'm going to go down and left. Okay? So when I go down and left here, and I make my line, oh, I'm still a little high. Not hitting those lines exactly, but I can see close enough where my solution is. My solution is going to be right in there. Okay, and if I look at that ordered pair, that's -1, +2. So I would say that the answer to this system is going to be -1, +2, and I'm done. Okay, now if you need to copy anything down, pause your video, copy it, and then restart it, and then we'll go to example 2. Now, example 2, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to show quite as much work this time, but I'm still going to show level 5 quality. So I'm going to start with my first line right here, my first linear equation, x minus y equals 2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my 1 placeholders right there. Okay. I'm going to subtract the 1x from both sides. So that means I'm going to bring down my -1y equal to, now subtract that 1x and bring down my +2. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is divide everything by -1. Now, do you remember dividing by -1 just means you change the sign on your numbers? Like right here, you start with -1, but negative divided by a negative turns that into a positive. This +2 divided by -1, that positive divided by a negative turns it into a negative. Okay, so the line that I'm going to graph is y equals 2x minus 2. So this time I'm going to start at -2 for my y-intercept. My slope here is 1, which is 1 over 1, or up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1. So up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1. Okay, and I'm going to do that a few times because I don't know where these lines are actually going to intersect. So I want a nice, accurate line to work with. And I'm going to remember to put my arrows. Okay. Now, if I go over here to my second line right here is 2x plus 3y equal to 9. Okay, same 2 steps. First step in solving for y, I'm going to subtract the 2x from both sides. So I'm going to have 3y equal to -2x plus 9. Now the next step, remember, we're going to divide everything by 3. So I'm going to have y equal to, well, now -2 divided by 3 doesn't simplify. So it's just -2/3 x, but 9 divided by 3 is 3. Okay, so now when I get ready to graph this line, I'm going to start at +3, 1, 2, 3. My slope is -2/3. That means I'm going down 2, right 3. So when I go down 2 and to the right 3, what do I notice? I landed on that point that's on the other line already. But I'm going to do that one more time so I have a nice, straight, accurate line. So down 2 and right 3. Now, lay my ruler down. Draw my line. Now, I'm found my intersection. I didn't do it. Still having aiming troubles there, but I can tell that's where it was supposed to be, right there. And the ordered pair for that point is 1, 2, 3, 1. So the answer to this system is 3, 1. Okay, go ahead and get this finished copy, put this into your interactive notebook, and then you can go to Canvas and find your assignment.